I'm 63 years old, and I thought I'd seen everything life could throw at me. Lost my wife Sarah to a heart attack 4 years ago. Raised 2 daughters on a teacher's salary in Regina, Saskatchewan. Survived cancer twice. But nothing, absolutely nothing prepared me for the moment my youngest daughter Emma sent me a text message at 2 in the morning that read, "Dad, I need you to look in Linda's purse tomorrow when she's in the shower. Check the zippered pocket. Don't let her see you. Please trust me." Linda was my girlfriend of 14 months. We'd met at a grief support group at Knox Metropolitan Church. Both of us widowed, both of us lonely. She was 59, graceful, with silver hair she wore in a neat bun. She'd lost her husband to diabetes complications 3 years before I met her. She loved gardening, made incredible butter tarts, and seemed to understand the particular kind of loneliness that comes with losing your person after 35 years of marriage. My daughters had been cautiously supportive when I started dating again. Emma, who was 31 and worked as a corporate auditor in Calgary, had flown home for Thanksgiving specifically to meet Linda. My older daughter Rachel, 34, a nurse practitioner here in Regina, had been warmer, grateful that I wasn't spending every evening alone in the house where Sarah and I had raised our girls. So when Emma's text came through in the middle of the night, my hands were shaking as I read it. Emma wasn't dramatic. She was the careful one, the one who triple-checked her work, who'd never made an impulsive decision in her life. If she was asking me to snoop through my girlfriend's purse at 2 in the morning, something was very wrong. I sat up in bed. Linda was asleep beside me. She'd been staying over 3 or 4 nights a week for the past 6 months. In the dim light from my phone, I could see her chest rising and falling peacefully. I looked at her and felt sick. What could possibly be in that purse? I didn't sleep the rest of that night. I lay there watching the ceiling, listening to Linda breathe, and wondering what my daughter had discovered. Emma was flying in tomorrow. No, today, now, for what I'd thought was just a regular visit. Clearly it wasn't. When morning came, I made coffee like always. Linda came downstairs in the blue robe I'd bought her for Christmas, kissed my cheek, and asked what I wanted for breakfast. I told her I was fine with just toast. My stomach was in knots. "You seem tense, Robert," she said, touching my shoulder. "Everything all right?" "Just didn't sleep well," I said. It wasn't a lie. She nodded sympathetically. "I'll make you some of that chamomile tea later, the one that helps you relax." The tea. She'd been making me that tea almost every evening for the past 2 months. Said it would help with my blood pressure. I'd been having dizzy spells lately, moments where I'd forget what I was saying mid-sentence. My doctor had adjusted my medications twice, but nothing seemed to help. Linda went upstairs for her shower at 9 o'clock, like clockwork. She was a creature of habit. The moment I heard the water running, I moved. Her purse was on the kitchen counter, a large brown leather bag she carried everywhere. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I felt like a criminal, like I was betraying her trust. But Emma's message. I unzipped the main compartment. Wallet, tissues, hand sanitizer, reading glasses. Normal things. Then I found the zippered inside pocket Emma had mentioned. Inside was a plastic freezer bag, and inside that bag were pill bottles, 4 of them, none with labels. I opened the first one. Small, white tablets. I didn't recognize them. The second bottle round blue pills. The third oval yellow ones. The fourth capsules, half red, half white. Why would Linda have unmarked prescription bottles hidden in her purse? My phone buzzed. "Emma, did you look?" I texted back with shaking fingers. "Yes. Found pill bottles, no labels. What is this?" "Don't take anything she gives you today. I'm landing in 2 hours. We need to talk. Act normal." The shower shut off upstairs. I shoved everything back into the zippered pocket exactly as I'd found it, put the purse back on the counter, and retreated to the living room. When Linda came down 15 minutes later, hair damp and smelling like lavender shampoo, I was sitting on the couch, pretending to read the Regina Leader post. "Are you sure you're all right?" she asked again. "You look pale." "I'm fine," I said. "Just tired." She made me lunch around noon. Chicken sandwich, pickle on the side, and a cup of that chamomile tea. I watched her prepare it, watched her pull the tea bag from a box in the cupboard, pour the hot water, let it steep for exactly 3 minutes like she always did. "Drink up while it's hot," she said, setting it in front of me. I looked at that cup of tea and thought about Emma's warning. "Don't take anything she gives you today." "Actually, I think I'll have coffee instead," I said, Need the caffeine. Something flickered across Linda's face. Just for a second. Annoyance? Anger? Then she smiled. Of course, sweetheart. Whatever you prefer. She poured the tea down the sink. Emma arrived at 2:30. I'd told Linda my daughter was coming for a visit, nothing unusual. But when Emma walked through the door and looked at Linda, I saw something in my daughter's eyes I'd never seen before. Fear and rage. Hi, Linda, Emma said, her voice carefully neutral. Good to see you again. Emma, what a lovely surprise, Linda said, hugging her. Emma's arms stayed at her sides. Dad, can we talk in your study? I need to discuss some financial paperwork with you. Linda's smile tightened. Oh, I can give you two some privacy. I should run to the store anyway. Actually, Linda, could you stay? Emma's voice was steel wrapped in velvet. This affects you too. We sat in the living room. Linda on the love seat, me in my recliner, Emma perched on the ottoman facing both of us. Dad, Emma said, looking only at me, when was the last time you had your medications checked? Dr. Patterson adjusted them about 3 weeks ago, I said. Why? And how long have you been having the dizzy spells? The memory problems? Maybe 2.5, 3 months now, I said. Linda was very still on the love seat. Emma pulled out her phone. Dad, I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. Has Linda been giving you any supplements, vitamins, herbal remedies? Just the chamomile tea, I said slowly. To help with my blood pressure. What kind of tea? Emma's knuckles were white around her phone. It comes in a box. Regular chamomile tea bags. Can I see the box? I fetched it from the kitchen. Emma examined it, then looked at Linda. This is just regular chamomile tea from the grocery store. Of course it is, Linda said. Her voice was different now, colder. What exactly are you implying, Emma? I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. Emma set the tea box aside. Dad, 3 weeks ago, you called me at 11 at night. Do you remember? I didn't. You were confused, disoriented. You thought Mom was still alive. You asked me if I'd seen her, if she was home yet. You were terrified when I tried to tell you she'd passed. You had no memory of the last 4 years. The room tilted. I didn't remember that. How could I not remember that? That's when I got worried, Emma continued. So I did what I do for a living. I investigated. She turned to Linda. Tell me about your husband, Linda. Gerald, wasn't it? Yes. Linda's hands were folded in her lap, perfectly calm. He died of complications from diabetes. He did die, but not from complications. Gerald died from an overdose of his own insulin. The coroner ruled it accidental, said he must have miscalculated his dose. But there was an insurance investigation. Did you know that, Dad? I looked at Linda. Her face was a mask. The insurance company found it suspicious that Linda had increased his life insurance policy by $200,000 just 6 months before his death. They found it odd that Gerald, who'd been managing his diabetes successfully for 15 years, would suddenly make such a fatal error. But they couldn't prove anything. They paid out. This is absurd, Linda said, standing up. Robert, I don't have to listen to this. Sit down. My voice came out harder than I'd intended. Sit down, Linda. She sat. Emma wasn't finished. Before Gerald, there was Martin. Your boyfriend before you met Gerald. He died too. Heart attack, age 58. Also had a life insurance policy. Also had made you the beneficiary just months before his death. People die, Emma, Linda said. I've been unlucky in love. That doesn't make me a murderer. No, but this does. Emma pulled a folder from her bag. 2 weeks ago, I hired a private investigator in Regina. I had him follow you, Linda. You made several trips to a storage locker on Albert Street, Unit 412. You visited it 4 times in 10 days. Linda's face was still calm, but I saw a muscle twitch in her jaw. My investigator got the facility manager to let him into that unit yesterday. Storage facilities can open units if they suspect illegal activity. And what he found, Emma opened the folder, pulled out photographs. Prescription bottles, dozens of them, all in different names. Some in Gerald's name, some in Martin's name, and some she looked at me in Sarah's name, Mom's name. The air left my lungs. How? I couldn't form words. You told her stories about Mom, didn't you, Dad? You mentioned her medications, her heart condition. Linda would have known exactly what Mom took. Emma spread the photos on the coffee table. These bottles are all empty, but the labels show they were filled over the past 8 years. Saved? Stockpiled? What's in them? I whispered. That's what I needed to find out. Emma pulled out another document. I took one of the unlabeled bottles from your purse this morning, Linda, while you were in the shower. I drove straight to a 24-hour pharmacy and had it tested. Dad gave me your emergency house key months ago, remember? Linda said nothing. The pills are a combination of 3 different medications. Scopolamine causes confusion and memory loss. Benzodiazepines causes drowsiness and cognitive impairment. And digoxin in high enough doses causes heart arrhythmia. All of them, individually, could be dismissed as symptoms of aging. Together, they mimic dementia. I couldn't breathe. You've been dissolving these pills in his tea, haven't you? Emma's voice was shaking now. The chamomile tea you insist he drinks every night. You've been slowly poisoning my father, making him seem incompetent, forgetful, sick. Why? Let me guess. He's already changed his will, hasn't he? No, I said. But even as I said it, I remembered. 6 weeks ago, Linda had suggested I update my estate planning. She'd even recommended a lawyer, a nice man named David Morrison. I'd signed papers in his office, made Linda my power of attorney, named her as a beneficiary. Oh, Dad. Emma's eyes filled with tears. She's been doing to you exactly what she did to Gerald, to Martin, making you dependent on her, isolating you from us. Do you realize you haven't had dinner with Rachel and her family in over 2 months? You used to go every Sunday. It was true. Linda always had a reason why we couldn't go. She wasn't feeling well. She had other plans. The roads were too icy. And the life insurance, Emma continued. You increased your policy last month, didn't you? I had. $300,000. Linda had said it was sensible at my age. You're insane, Linda said finally. Her voice was ice. This is all speculation, circumstantial nonsense. Maybe. Emma pulled out her phone. That's why I called Detective Morrison with the Regina Police Service this morning. She's very interested in those storage unit photos, and in the toxicology report from the pills, and in interviewing the families of Gerald and Martin. You called the police? Linda stood up fast. I did. They should be here in about. Emma checked her watch 5 minutes. Linda looked at the door, then at me, then at Emma. For the first time, her mask cracked. You have no idea what it's like, she said quietly, to watch everyone else have everything while you struggle. Gerald had money. Martin had money. Your father has his teacher's pension, his house, his insurance. I worked retail for 30 years. I have nothing. Society throws away women my age. We're invisible, disposable. So you decided to kill people for their money? Emma's voice was flat. I gave them companionship, love. I made their last months comfortable. I earned it. My father isn't dead, Linda. Not yet. The words slipped out before Linda seemed to realize what she'd said. The doorbell rang. Detective Morrison was a woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. She had 2 uniformed officers with her. Linda didn't resist when they put the handcuffs on. As they led her out, she looked back at me one last time. I did love you, Robert, she said. That was real. I didn't answer. I couldn't. After they left, Emma and I sat in silence for a long time. Finally, she got up, went to the kitchen, and came back with the box of chamomile tea. She dumped it in the garbage. We need to get you to a hospital, she said. Get your blood tested. See what damage she's done. The hospital kept me for 3 days. The toxicology confirmed Emma's findings traces of all 3 medications in my system. Dr. Patterson was horrified. She said with time, and with stopping the poisoning, my symptoms should improve. The memory loss, the confusion, most of it was drug-induced, not permanent damage. I was lucky. Lucky. I'd been dating a woman who was slowly killing me, and I was lucky. Rachel came to visit me every day in the hospital. Emma stayed the entire time, sleeping in the chair beside my bed. My daughters had saved my life. Emma's analytical mind, her refusal to dismiss the red flags, her willingness to act even when it seemed crazy. The police investigation moved fast. The storage unit yielded enough evidence for multiple charges. They exhumed Gerald's body, found lethal levels of insulin. Martin's cremation made testing impossible, but his family came forward with similar stories. Confusion before he died. Personality changes. a new will naming Linda as beneficiary. Detective Morrison told me they found journals in Linda's apartment, detailed records of her relationships, what medications she'd given, how much, when, notes on when to increase doses, when to back off to avoid suspicion. She'd been doing this for 12 years. Gerald and Martin were just the ones who'd died. There were 3 others who'd gotten suspicious and broken up with her first. I was meant to be number 6. The lawyer, David Morrison, was investigated too. Turned out he wasn't licensed. Linda had hired an actor to play the part. The will I'd signed wasn't legal, but it showed intent. Her intent. Linda Walsh was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. As I write this, she's awaiting trial. Her bail was denied. The Crown is seeking life imprisonment. Emma went back to Calgary after 2 weeks, only after making me promise to call her every single day. Rachel checks on me constantly. I've started having Sunday dinners with her family again. My grandson Matthew, who's 7, asked me why I seemed sad. I told him I was just grateful to have my family. It's been 4 months now. My memory has improved significantly. The dizzy spells are gone. Dr. Patterson says I'm recovering well, physically at least. Emotionally, that's harder. I trusted Linda completely. I was planning a future with her, and she was planning my death. The grief support group asked me to speak to their members about what happened. I almost said no. I was embarrassed. How could I not have seen it? But then I realized that's exactly why I needed to speak. Because elder abuse, especially financial and physical abuse from romantic partners, thrives in silence and shame. I told them what I've learned, that predators don't look like monsters. They look like Linda, kind, sympathetic, patient. They find you at your most vulnerable. They make you feel seen, loved, valued, and then they exploit that trust. I told them the warning signs I'd missed, the isolation from family and friends, framed as wanting time alone together, the pushing for financial changes, framed as taking care of practical matters, the medications and supplements, framed as caring for your health, the gaslighting when you question things, framed as you're just stressed or you're imagining things. Most importantly, I told them this. If someone who loves you expresses concern about your relationship, listen. Really listen. Don't dismiss it as jealousy or interference. Emma saved my life because I trusted her enough to look in that purse, even when it felt like a betrayal of Linda. Your children, your siblings, your old friends, they know you. They remember who you were before this new person came into your life. If they're worried, there's probably a reason. I also learned that it's never too late to rebuild. I'm 63, not 93. I've started painting again, something I gave up when I was teaching. I volunteer at the public library. I joined a walking group at the park. I'm rediscovering who Robert Fletcher is, not who he is in relation to someone else. Rachel asked me if I'll ever date again. Honestly, I don't know. Right now, the thought makes my stomach turn, but maybe someday, with better judgment, with my family involved, with my eyes wide open. Emma framed one of the photos from the storage unit, the one showing all those prescription bottles lined up like soldiers. It's a strange thing to frame, but she says it reminds her why her job matters, why paying attention matters, why trusting your instincts matters. I keep a photo on my bedside table. It's from 2 summers ago, before Linda, me, Sarah, Rachel, Emma, and all 3 grandkids at Emma Lake. We're all sunburned and happy, Sarah's arm around my waist. I look at it every morning and every night. It reminds me of what's real, what's worth protecting. Last week, Matthew asked me to read him a story before bed. We were at Rachel's house for Sunday dinner, and he climbed into my lap with a library book about a brave knight. Halfway through, he interrupted me. "Grandpa, are you the knight in the story?" "No, buddy. The knight is just a made-up character, but you're brave like the knight. Auntie Emma said you were brave when the bad lady tried to hurt you." I had to stop reading for a moment. "I wasn't brave, Matthew. I was almost fooled. Your Auntie Emma was the brave one. But you trusted her," he said, with the simple logic of a 7-year-old. "That's brave too." Maybe he's right. Maybe trusting the people who love you, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it means facing ugly truths, is its own kind of bravery. I'm writing this story down because Detective Morrison said it might help other cases. Apparently, there's a pattern of this type of crime, romantic partners targeting widowed or divorced people in their 60s and 70s, people with assets but also loneliness. It's more common than anyone wants to admit. If you're reading this and you recognize even a shadow of Linda in your own life, a partner who's isolating you, controlling your medications, pushing financial changes, making you doubt your own mind, please reach out to someone. Call your children. Call a sibling. Call a friend you haven't talked to in months because your partner always has a reason why you shouldn't. And if you're reading this as someone who loves an older parent or relative who's started a new relationship, pay attention. Not with paranoia, not assuming every new partner is a predator. But pay attention, stay involved, ask questions. If something feels off, investigate. Emma could have dismissed her instincts. She could have told herself she was being paranoid, overprotective, that I was a grown man who could make my own choices. Instead, she trusted that feeling in her gut that said something was wrong. She did the uncomfortable thing, the thing that could have damaged our relationship if she'd been wrong. But she wasn't wrong, and I'm alive because of it. The trial is set for next spring. I'll have to testify. I'll have to sit in a courtroom and recount how I fell in love with someone who was planning to kill me. It won't be easy, but I'll do it. For Gerald, who didn't have an Emma to save him. For Martin, who died alone and confused. For the others who might be out there, still being poisoned by someone they trust. I've started writing letters to Sarah. I know she's gone, but it helps somehow. I tell her about what happened. I tell her I'm sorry I forgot her, even if it was because of drugs. I tell her that Emma has her fierce protectiveness, her unwillingness to ignore problems. I tell her our girls turned out just fine, better than fine. She'd be so proud. Tomorrow, Emma's flying home again. She comes once a month now, just to check in. We're going to make butter tarts together, not because I miss Linda's, but because Emma found Sarah's old recipe card in the kitchen, and we want to try to recreate them. We'll probably make a mess. They probably won't taste quite right, but we'll be together, and we'll be safe, and that's what matters. I'm 63 years old. I survived cancer twice, and the woman I loved trying to kill me. I've learned that survival isn't just about staying alive, it's about staying connected to the people who truly love you. It's about listening when they're worried. It's about being willing to see uncomfortable truths. And I've learned that sometimes the most dangerous predators are the ones who look most like salvation. Trust your family, trust your instincts. And if someone tries to isolate you from both of those things, that's not love. That's the opposite of love. That's what I wish I'd known 14 months ago when a silver-haired woman at a grief support group smiled at me and asked if I wanted to get coffee. I wish I'd known that the loneliness I felt wasn't something that needed to be filled immediately, desperately, with the first person who seemed to understand. But I know it now. And if sharing my story helps even one person recognize the warning signs, helps one family trust their instincts and investigate, helps one potential victim escape before it's too late, then maybe some good can come from this nightmare. The chamomile tea is long gone, thrown away by Emma that first day. Now, when I want tea, I make it myself, from my own cabinet, in my own home, with my family nearby. It's just tea, nothing more, nothing hidden, nothing designed to make me forget who I am. And that, I've learned, is the greatest gift of all, remembering who you are, and being surrounded by people who will fight to help you stay that way.